you say they do help? Because the next question was, how do they contribute to your performance? Do you think they
Yeah,
definitely are having an impact on your performance? And in what way? If you break that down for the
uh,
viewers
I,
watching,
I'll
what?
tell you a little story. At the start of the season, I think I travelled up to Bolton. I drove up on the same day. So I drove up from Croydon up here. It took about 5 hours drive. It was a horrible drive, but I didn't drink. I didn't want to drink anything because I didn't want to keep on stopping off on the motorway to go toilet. So then I didn't drink a lot, I didn't eat a lot. And then I came up here and then we had testing. We had a running test to do, which I thought, okay, I'll be fine. But then I was doing it and I was doing the run. And then I think towards the end, I just felt like my legs were heavy. Like I've never felt it before. And then at the end of it, I think I just collapsed and passed out. And then I had to have, I went through, I think, about 3 oxygen tanks and I went to the hospital because I couldn't see. I was dizzy. Um, and then, but that was just down to me not having in my system any food or energy. I had nothing. I had nothing in my system. And then from that was a big wake up call for me as well. Because normally I do eat. Normally I do eat well, but that just heightened my knowledge about how you have to eat and you've got to prepare right. Because there's no way you can do such a football's a high intensity sport,
Mm,
whatever way you look at it, and you have to have the right food in you. When I mean the right food, you've got to have good food in you. Doesn't mean you can have McDonald's in you because that's not the right nutrients. But you have to
mm,
have good food in you before, and a lot of water and a lot of fluids in you before you perform. And that goes with
mm,
every sport that you do.
mm, mm.
So yeah,
Wow, that is a really good example, a real life human example. I mean, I do one of my motivational programs. It's a program called SHOCK, which stands for Self Esteem, Health Opportunities, Confidence, and Knowledge. And part of that is trying to educate the young students about the importance of nutrition
hmm
and a balanced diet and water and fluids. And one of the kind of examples I like to give is like, as you said, it's not about putting a whole load of food in you, it's putting in the right food. What I
yeah,
like to use as an example is almost like a car, when you're putting diesel in a petrol car,
yeah,
obviously it's going to go at first, but it's not going to go
it won't
properly,
go
and
far.
eventually it will eventually break down,
hmm
and you've just actually explained that in a real life human example, that you never
Yeah,
had the fuel inside you, and then you broke down,
hmm
and there's no better example in how to express that point than that,
yeah,
especially for a lot of our young people that want to play decent football, are playing high level, maybe academy football, striving to, but still are probably eating too much of that food in the chicken shop. And
yeah.
I will use that as an example because they're everywhere, and the deals are such a temptation.
They, yeah, it's hard. It is hard because as I've seen as well growing up, it's like healthier food is more expensive than McDonald's or chicken shop, and that's probably why. And
Mm,
there's more of it as well. Because where I lived, there was at least four within 2 minute walks
mm,
of
mm,
where I was living, but there was no healthy places.
mm, mm,
So
mm,
I completely understand the struggles of it, but it comes with discipline.
mm.
It comes with telling yourself no. Like there's no. I'm not gonna have it. I'm gonna have something else.
Yeah, it goes back to that discipline message that you was
Yeah.
talking about. So on that note, what advice can you give me as a parent, um, and other parents to improve our young kids, young people's education of nutrition and a good balanced diet, um,
Um.
especially for young people who want to strive for a dream that involves high intensity sort of sports.
Yeah. For me anyway, I think obviously I can't talk for everyone else. As a child, as a teenager or a young kid, I wasn't the best listener. I wasn't a good listener. So I don't think forcing it in my ears that my mum saying to me, "You have to do this, you have to do that." I wouldn't respond to that. So I don't think forcing it is the best way to do it, but I think you have to work with your kids and obviously see what they like and see what meals they don't like, but then try to mix it together. So I'd say mixing it together and just having that, putting that balanced diet in it, because you know that they're not going to completely understand it, but you have to have kind of that relationship where you both work together with it.
So
And
it's having a bit of unhealthiness, which, as you said, like, you know, you can have as a treat, mixing it with that healthy kind of food group.